I am thrilled to welcome Smita Asrani to the podcast today. As the Vice President of Partnerships at UE LifeSciences, Smita is passionate about breaking down barriers so that women everywhere can have access to life-saving healthcare. In this episode, she shares her own very personal journey, the challenges and triumphs of bringing innovative cancer screening to communities in need, and why empowering women's health is so close to her heart. You're not going to want to miss this one.
Smita, tell us a little bit about your kind of impactful moment in your life that led you to the career and incredible impact you're having on the world today.
Whew. So my life experience with cancer has been vast. I've never had a career in breast cancer. Today I do. And that's largely because of my sister, who was 44 when she passed away 5 years ago of stage 4 breast cancer, triple negative breast cancer. And she got diagnosed in February and she passed away in October. So we only had 6 months with her and we didn't even know she was going to go. So that's the scary part. She went through chemo and she was okay. And then within the last month before she passed, we found out that she had breast. So as a result, I realized my life mission is now to make sure that women everywhere get detected early. Nayana and I, my sister's name is Nayana, and her and I had a lot of access. My father was an interventional radiologist. My mother's a psychiatrist. And we still didn't get our mammos done when we turned 40, despite of our parents telling us, look, you need to get your mammos. We had a lot of different fallacies. It doesn't run in our family. We'll be okay. We're just too lazy. And we have those buckets of women that have the access but won't get their mammos. So we want to help those women, but we also want to help the women that absolutely have no access. That's why I'm here, because I want to raise my voice to make sure that every woman understands the importance of it. So I work for a company called UE LifeSciences, and I head partnerships in the United States. And we have two devices. One is called the iBreast exam and one is called the selfie. And they're both designed for early detection of breast cancer.
Incredible, Smita, to go from having such a deeply personal experience to then figuring out how to do something about it. I feel like so many people, Katie and I as well, have had deep relationships and journeys with cancer, and just that turning point of saying, but I'm going to do something about it. Tell us how that moment materialized for you.
When I lost my sister, my world collapsed. Every one of us has had that experience or knows someone, and you're debilitated. You don't know what to do. You don't know where to turn. And for me, it was turning to her, actually, because I realized she's literally giving me signs. So I just followed those ropes. And a lot of times when opportunity knocks, even though it may not seem the right time, it is the right time. And I think the key in identifying those two things is very important. So I just kept talking to her and asking her, what do I do? I obviously had a really good network of friends and family who supported me through this. So that's vital. And you have to lean on those relationships when things fall down.
How long between when your sister was diagnosed and passed to when you found yourself in this role? How much space and time did you have between those two things?
It was about a year. I started with taking care of myself, going to the gym because that's what she always wanted. So living out her dreams for her. What she wanted for me, I actually listened to her after she passed away. And one thing led to the other, which led me to work for this company.
I feel like, as Sarah mentioned, I've had a pretty difficult journey with my family. There's a lot of cancer in my family, and so I've lost several folks. But my mom was diagnosed initially in 2003 with breast cancer and then re-diagnosed in 2015. And one of the things that I found to be somewhat of a blessing is I was able to actually work on a breast cancer product when she had been re-diagnosed. So I was actually working on the launch of a new indication of Faslodex, and it was an immersive experience for me. And I feel like that's something that could go either way. You either really pour yourself into it and decide, how am I going to have an impact in this? For me, it was to, like I said, immerse myself in education and understand what her journey, what she's going through, what are the treatment options. And so I was really able to be a part of that journey for her. She survived for 7 years after her second diagnosis. We were very fortunate. But I do find it interesting. I think it can go one way or the other, where it's really difficult to get into the space or to be immersive in something that was so painful. Or you, like I said, throw yourself into it and really figure out, how do I make an impact in this space? So what has it been like for you to go through this while holding that space for your sister?
My God, that's a fantastic question, because the balance is very difficult. And what I realized is self-help and taking care of yourself is crucial. My sister was always big into massages. She used to always tell me, Smita, you have to go take care of your body, work out. Those are the two things she was very passionate about. And so I tried those two things and they worked for me. That's what I did. I looked at what she wanted me to do and I followed her advice and I kept what worked for me. And those two things, working out, taking care of my body, and especially because she had breast cancer and I want to make sure that I live a long life for my husband and children and my friends and other family and myself and for the women that I want to be able to help. So there's a greater mission there beyond taking care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself, you can't really take care of anyone else. We all know this. So really, we have to look into what that entails and how that fits into your lifestyle sustainably.
Absolutely.
And then obviously you have to leave room for mourning because we do so much. And then where does that land us?
Yeah.
So learning to get in touch with your emotions, that you're strong, but it's okay to cry, because a lot of times, and I've been raised this way, my mom always told us, because I'm originally Indian, I come from India and I've lived there. So I know the level of poverty that exists there in some places. So I always say to myself, I'm better off than this person and I'm so much better off than that person. And we don't think it's okay to cry though. You could still have tears and take care of yourself, and it's not self-pity.
Grief is not a competition,
Mhm.
because sometimes it's so easy to be like, oh, but their partner suffered more, or their sister is suffering more, their children are suffering more than I am. It's like, who cares? We're all grieving. Let's mourn that moment. And also, what I just find so inspiring about your story is, and then do something about it. I think that's just such an uplifting moment to say, yes, I will have those spaces where I grieve and mourn. And grief is such a funny thing. Sometimes it happens a day later. Sometimes it happens 7 years later. I know I cannot go to the mother's card aisle around Mother's Day. It's like, I've lost it too many times in Target. And it's like,
Yeah.
then saying, how do we do something about it from here? It's just really an incredible moment that you've really taken to bring not just your story, but your sister's story to life and to help so many others.
Yeah. My sister used to always tell me, she used to say, whenever she used to talk about her issues with me prior to her sickness, I used to always try to fix the issue and say, Lena, it's okay. We have this, or we have that, or we can do this. I used to tell her, and those people don't. And she said, that doesn't alleviate my issue. I'm still dealing with this, Smita. How can I deal with this? I look back and everyone's issues are so unique to them that you have to accept them. And once you accept them, only then you can figure out how to solve.
Mhm.
And how truly expansive that you aren't looking just to solve for yourself or even for your sister, but for women across the globe, especially in underserved and underrepresented communities. Tell us a little bit about how your journey with UE started to bring you on this path to bring healthcare to so many women.
I think back, and my sister was a vibrant woman. She was an attorney. She cared very deeply about other people. She was very emotional, and she would be here today with me potentially, and together be able to help women who don't have the access. So that is definitely, I wake up in the morning thinking, my gosh, and I know she's with me, but so regardless, she's with me. And so I don't know, it just evolved. And I think it's one of those things that I mentioned earlier where you lose the person and you look to that person to give you that momentum. My mother ended up coming to me one day because she sits on the board of MENA Foundation, which is also a breast cancer foundation. And the founder of MENA Foundation introduced me to Mihir Shah, who's my current CEO of UE LifeSciences. And we had this amazing interview, and it was just a conversation like we're having. And I found out his mother's name is Nayana, which is my sister's name.
Yes.
So
Wow.
after talking about his amazing devices and what he's doing for the underserved population in lower middle income countries, that alone got me. It pulled me in. And after speaking to him and finding out this piece of information, I said, my goodness, if I worked for this company, I would be blessed. And I think it was about a week or two later that he offered me the position. I was initially working for Nancy Brinker. She's the founder of Susan G. Komen, wonderful woman. And she started the Promise Fund of Florida. And she gave me this amazing opportunity to work with her and her team. And I'm forever grateful for them. And from there, I moved on to work with UE LifeSciences. and get these devices out to women who can't make it to a mammo, for example. Because right now, if a woman is under 40 years old, she has nothing to fall back on because insurance won't cover for women who are under 40.
I have a 53% chance of invasive breast cancer before I turned 45, and insurance fought my MRI. So it's not even, to your point, like it's not even like we have those of us that have the access and have the insurance, and we're still facing these challenges. So to think about these people who don't have the same access and affordability and commercial insurance that have these genetic disorders or this lack of education in the space. So I'm curious, in your role of VP of Partnerships, what does that look like for you? How do you engage with folks, and where does the passion from that desire to bring more access to more women, how does that translate in your role, and who do you engage with in that space?
I go to a lot of women's conferences and talk to women who are in positions to help, but also women who need the help. And it's so vast, right? Because I was just at a wellness talk with one of my ex coworkers, and her audience was largely women under 30. And they were asking me all these questions about, why doesn't insurance cover? And okay, so what are our options? And why don't we go for mammos? And this is what's stopping me. And they were just so forthcoming with that information. So that's easy, right? Because your audience is receptive and they're talking to you, they're asking the right questions, and you answer those. So that's one area. The other area is an area of basically a population who doesn't have the access and who have maybe 2 jobs, or single mothers who live in rural areas. For whatever reason, they just can't get to their breast health because they're dealing with food on the table. We want to be able to go to them. So actively, as VP of Partnerships with UE LifeSciences, what my goal is to be able to identify those clinics or those health providers that actually are interested in being those areas and helping those women. And that is where our device is crucial, because we fill that gap, we fill that hole that is glaringly obvious and no one knows how to get to. And our machine is very portable. I happen to have it here just to show you, and it goes everywhere. And it's this little device that doesn't even need a Wi-Fi. So I can go to a remote area and actually do 500 breast exams with this device alone and this pad alone. And I was just in India, in a rural area in Delhi, and I scanned 20 women, and I hugged each and every one of those women. And I stopped my tears from flowing because that's not professional. I didn't succeed every time, but they wanted to be there and they were so grateful. Those are just a few examples of how we want iBreast exam out there. And again, for these women's conferences, a lot of women sit on panels and they talk about the issues. We want to be the solution to those issues.
And so can you tell us about maybe like a success story that you've had in a partnership, something you're really proud of that has come out of your role?
Wow. So we got on board Dr. Aditi Hazra, who is an amazing person. She's a PhD at Harvard, and she decided to come on a physician advisory board. And I met her actually through Zoom. Her and I had been trying to get in touch with each other for a long time. And I remember my dad, it was last year, he was in the hospital. So I said to her finally, I'm like, I don't care if I have to Zoom you in the hospital, just get in touch with me. So her and I have become very good friends. So I got her on board, and then we have a partnership with Tiger Lily Foundation, whose founder is Maeva Carmo, and she's also a very dear friend. And she plowed through triple negative breast cancer. She has an amazing story where she reverse educated her physician because they wouldn't listen despite her telling them, look, I feel a lump, and she had to fight for her test, and she's a survivor today. So we brought her on to UE LifeSciences as our partner. So those are two near and dear to me only because they have become my close friends also. And I would also say that a friend to UE LifeSciences is also Liz Powell, who is founder of G2G Consulting. And she also co-founded the Breast Cancer Early Detection Coalition, along with me and a few others. And she actually goes to Capitol Hill and lobbies for breast cancer bills to get passed. And she took me to Capitol Hill last year. And that was my first taste of how powerful our voices are as citizens of this country. And I was floored. So we are partaking in advocacy as well. UE LifeSciences is a huge part of that because of Liz Powell and her team. Those are just a few highlights. It's not just one bucket of women. It's advocates, it's survivors, it's key opinion leaders, it's the physicians. It's everyone who has that same passion getting in one group and saying the same thing essentially to get it done.
Amazing. Your impact is vast.
So impressive, especially in the short time that you've been in the role. Who's on your like bucket list? Who's someone that you would aspire to collaborate with, and why?
So Gail King is one. So we're a for-profit company, but we do a lot of charity work. We do, because we never want finances to come in the way of getting our device out there. Obviously, we have to be financially responsible and look at the bottom line, but we're always open to talking about how can we fit in your model? How can we create something new so that we can get this out there? So celebrities are one, but the ones that obviously want to walk with us, don't just want to say, hey, here's an ad for this, and then we're done.
And get paid and walk away. Right. Yep.
We want a relationship. Same thing with pharmaceutical companies. We want a relationship. We're creating right now the world's first self breast exam called the Selfie, which I have here in my hand. We're creating a bra with it. We want companies like Victoria's Secret. We want companies that actually are in that space to collaborate with us in order to get in that area and say, okay, so we are helping these women do what? Oh my God, the world's first breast exam at home? Yes, we want a relationship with you. We don't want to just design a bra and be done. So we're picky, but that's only because when you get married, you are picky.
Yes.
And
Or you should be.
So I guess let's take a step back for a second. Can you describe the self-exams and the tools that you guys have created so that, and I think Sarah and I are familiar, but for our listeners, can you help us understand like what are the tools and how do they work and how do we get readings and how does the self-exam work? Give us a little bit more information on the product.
Sure. So we have two tools. We have the iBreast exam, which is designed for clinician use in the actual clinic. And then we have the Selfie, which is an at-home breast test. So for the iBreast exam, they both, just so you know, have the exact same technology. It's a removable pad, just like a razor blade model. And this pad is designed to scan up to 500 women. So you don't need to change the pad. All you have to do is swipe it with an alcohol wipe, make sure it's clean, and then you're on to the next woman. So this is a very efficient tool to be able to go in one day, scan up to 500 women.
Does it work essentially like an ultrasound?
No, it's a sensor technology. So just like you have
Okay.
your iPhone and it's a touch technology. And think of your doctor's 10 fingers as opposed to the 600 fingers, digital fingers, checking for.
Amazing.
And detects changes in skin elasticity. So lumps are by default harder than your normal skin. But the moment it detects something like that, it shows up in a report. So we have an app for the iBreast exam and we have an app for the Selfie. And the reports are very similar. A finding shows up as a red dot. And once that happens, a report is generated and your doctor can then send you to get a mammo. And if you, for example, were slated to get a mammo every January and you come in and get your iBreast exam in May and you see a finding, your physician sees a finding, you then get to get your mammo sooner than you normally would have. So you have a 6-7 month head start and you can, if it's in fact cancerous, then you have that early detection fee.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Incredible. How quickly do the results, are they turned around for the women? I know I was reading some of the goals of having 100,000 women scanned in the project in India and how significant that was that you were able to accomplish it and then help 58 women who were diagnosed onto a journey of survival and hopefully thriving. How quickly does that happen? Like that you scan them and then they get the results on the spot?
Yeah, the results are immediate. So the physician knows right away if there's a finding, right away. And you need, obviously, you could send the report to your patient or to other physicians. It's all here. Once that happens, then we have a continuum of care set up in those countries. In this particular case, India, where they would then be sent in for a mammo and then further testing. That's vital, by the way, because if there's a finding, you need to tell her where to go with it. Right?
And with urgency.
Yes.
Even just, I think that there's even a term of scanxiety,
Mhm.
this idea
Oh
that
my
you have to go every
goodness.
3 months. And like the fact that you can get results that fast. Oh my gosh, that already just brings down that
Okay,
anxiety,
I
right?
have never heard of that term, and I love it. Did you just come up with
Never? You've never heard that term?
that?
Okay, you can now do what consultants call leverage, aka just steal it, and go ahead and use that
Did you
term.
come
But that is, it's very prevalent in my family. Katie, your family uses it too, right?
I don't know. We don't. I've heard you say
Sarah.
that
So maybe
before,
it's
but yeah, might be.
So maybe it's been invented by my family's cancer journeys. We call it scanxiety, and it's the anxiety that you have generally a week to anywhere up to like moments before your regular reoccurring scan to see if cancer has returned or gotten worse. And it in itself is its own mental battle. That's why, like when I was asking about the speed, like that's incredible.
Oh my goodness. I'm just very excited with that term.
It's yours.
But you know what, Sarah? I think it's a really good point that you brought up, because I don't remember how we started talking about scan anxiety, but we need to overcome it.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a deterrent. It's a deterrent.
Yeah. It's a deterrent. And one of the questions I got asked really quick in the wellness talk that I did last week by one of the young ladies was that I'm just afraid to get a mammo because it hurts. And I told her, listen, go get your mammo because it hurts or it's uncomfortable, maybe for, I don't know, 10 minutes here and there. But if you get late stage breast cancer, it's going to be much more painful for a longer period of time and be lifelong for you. So she said, okay, I'm going to go get my mammo.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize, should we try to figure out what's an alternative to mammo? Yes, sure. We can try to do that. That's a slow process. And in the meantime, let's get it done, because that is going to take you a long way, and it's going to be a comfortable way if you get diagnosed early. God forbid if you get diagnosed.
Yeah, cancer is quite prevalent in my family as well. And I personally had a thyroid cancer scare. And from the moment when they found the lump to when they actually did the biopsy was 2.5 months. Like the 2.5 months of being like, oh my God, why did my body turn against me? And our mantra, and maybe another one that we created in my family I didn't know, is we just make our bodies the most inhospitable environments for cancer possible. And as you were describing, like taking care of your body and your health. But that 2.5 months was terrifying. And then even after the surgery, it was almost another 2 months till I actually found out if that was truly cancerous or not. And so the speed with which you're able to take a population which is already anxious about learning about this health and your point of the pain of going through the test to say, we're going to do it, we're going to bring it to you, and you're going to know right away. Like that, even just the speed is such an incredible value add.
Tell us a little bit about what have some of the hurdles been for getting this out into the different areas. You're global, so there's always like the challenge of people coming in and giving opportunities for new things, but often I think people are pretty hesitant to engage in something new or unfamiliar. So how are you battling or overcoming some of those barriers to entry or barriers to, I guess, action from these communities that you're trying to get into?
Thanks, Katie, for that question, because it's a large one, especially here in the US. For us, the biggest barrier here has been insurance coverage, of course. The road to get there is long. And we are trying to figure out how to bypass it. I think we're seeing some success in that because there is such a glaring need that the clinics where it is a gaping hole, they're realizing that they need to work with us in order to figure this out. Now, largely, it's because we as a company want this device out there. I said before, we care about, obviously, every company, every for-profit company needs to, and nonprofit needs to care about the bottom line. But our mission is so vast. And if we don't try to think out of the box, and if we don't try different things, it'll never happen. So we are consistently looking for those clinics and those facilities that need us. And we're trying to figure out how we can, from both ends, make this happen. So I started saying insurance is one of the biggest hurdles. And we initially tried to talk to larger hospital systems, but obviously incorporating this in their workflow sometimes, especially without that insurance piece, that can be difficult.
Mhm.
So we tried a couple of different things, and I think we're seeing some traction, like I said, in rural areas, areas that are also urban, but they're different. So they're wellness clinics, they're women's clinics. They are thinking out of the box. So these IV drip clinics that you're seeing popping up everywhere that are prevalent, we're looking into those and talking to them to see if they would like to offer women's health program. I know CVS has a women's health program, to see if they would be interested. And there's so many new things happening, concierge medicine. So we're open to all of those, as long as they understand that there's a need and we can somehow figure out what works for them and what works for us and what works for the woman.
It's wild to me that an insurance company's number one priority is to reduce utilization. And they're so resistant to detection that would support lower utilization. So it's always wild to me that they put up such a challenge and a fight to innovation that would absolutely impact the future spend from a patient. It always blows my mind.
And Katie, I'll tell you, if I find the right person in that insurance company who says, oh my goodness, this device is unbelievable, we need this, that is what I'm looking for, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like a needle in a haystack in any company, but more so insurance companies, because they need to be the pioneer and say, wow, I love this. I lost this person to breast cancer and I'm passionate about it. And this is a solution. There's so many areas where people or industries that get knocked. And I was one of them. I started out saying, my gosh, why can't this be covered by insurance? What's the big deal? But then I realized that I just need to find the right person to
Mm-hmm.
understand. And that's all it would take to at least get the car moving. And if one insurance company catches on and understands, oh my goodness, there's actually savings in this, then hopefully the others will catch on like wildfire.
And if you understand the disease, it's such a treatable disease if it's found early. There's so many options out there. There's so many lines of treatment. And so to be able to have something that's in the market that is helping that stage 0 or earlier or really super early detection, again, like it's just a benefit for everyone. It's mostly, of course, for the patient. But then if you think about the cost out of pocket, the insurance cost, it's so different if you can get an early diagnosis.
So I told you about my sister earlier. One of my dearest friends got diagnosed with stage 0. DCIS, basically. She got a double mastectomy, a reconstruction, and yes, she went through a lot, but not nearly as much as my sister went through. And she acknowledges that because she is very close to my sister too. And we both see this. And now she is with me in this fight. And she's thriving. She's successful. She's doing great. She has a new body that she's proud of. And it's minimal invasive surgery. I'm not going to say that double mastectomy is nothing. It was a big deal. I was with her through that fight. And she suffered. But again, her out-of-pocket costs, I think it was $500.
Yeah.
And the overall survival rate,
incredible.
Right, is so different.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe on a higher level, Smita, I just find you so inspiring from the whole journey. And yet there's still so many barriers and hurdles and that require such resilience. So I'm curious, as you are running into the wall that the car can't move through in that first insurance conversation, or you're talking to that hospital system, or even the women who don't understand why they need, what are some of the ways you persevere through that resistance?
I think I have realized that I don't know.
Great answer. That's a great answer. I have no idea.
You just get up and your sister is talking to you. I'm a believer the CEO's mom's name being Nayana is not lost on me that was her telling
And
you.
I think,
Sarah and I are big on signs. Yep.
Are you? We have to have a separate conversation about this and potentially a podcast just on that portion, because I'll tell you something. A lot of people don't know the value and the power of it. And let me tell you, I'm standing here today the way I am because of it. So surely should, definitely that's going to be a conversation. I already know it.
We'll take you up on
Yes.
that.
Yeah. And I think I know I said I don't know, and that's truly the answer. But what I have discovered is that when you do face resistance, I always take notes as to why and what happened there, because I need to understand. And then sometimes you do have to close that door and say, okay, this isn't working. And try to keep talking to your team, try to brainstorm. I have an amazing executive team. 3 of them are men, 4 of them are men. And we have an equal distribution of men and women. But they are extremely empathetic. They talk, they speak it out. Nothing is necessarily shoved under the rug. And if it is, we try to pull it out. So I think having that sort of a team is very important. I know when I first started and I was facing resistance, I would talk to all my C-levels, and they were all very understanding. They all pushed me up, and they all said, Smita, it's okay. This didn't work out, but let's try this. And I'm really grateful for them. And I think that they're a huge part of the reason why, number one, obviously I got this opportunity and why I kept going. So that executive support is also vital. I'll say that.
Yeah, amazing. As Katie mentioned, she and I are both very deeply in touch with our intuition and seeing those signs in the universe. Maybe a little more off podcast script. We both know that the people that we lost that mean the most to us come to us in different ways. So I have a cardinal and a blue jay that live together in peace and harmony and come to my house and sit on my back porch frequently. And Katie has deer that come to her. I'm curious if other ways your sister is with you and coming to you.
My sister comes to me through feathers. And it's white feathers. My sister also comes to me through my closest friends and family. So they'll see something and I'll have seen the same thing, or they'll say something and I'll say the same thing. So that's how I know she is very much a part of this equation still. My father comes to me through feathers also, but his color is different. He's more gray or gray and black.
Beautiful. I love that.
Pretty amazing.
Really incredible. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's deeply personal. So thank you for sharing that. I know every time there's a true of deer in my backyard, I send Katie a picture.
I also have,
Here's your mom.
just stopping by. I also have motion detection lights, like night lights that will just go off. And then had an appointment with a medium shortly after my mom died, and my cousin, who was like a sister to me, died almost 7 years ago. And the medium told me they will come to me in light. And so often, I'll be talking to my aunt who's the same way, and there will be like a flicker. I'm like, oh, hey. So my boyfriend and I were out to breakfast, and we were talking about my mom. The light over us flickered. So we see her a lot. She's around all the time.
It's Kate. I'm glad you mentioned the medium. So I have a medium too, and I've been speaking to her over the years, and Nayana knows things. I know it's a Nayana because nobody else knows those things. And yeah, I continue to speak to her, and she really is the light that draws me forward.
Amazing.
That's beautiful. We found, Amelie, we think about how we want to do pioneering work. We are inspired by the pioneers who have come before us. Our definition of a pioneer is someone who begins or develops something new. And if we stopped there, that would just really be an entrepreneur. But for us, it's about the next phase of that sentence, which is that end. They prepare the way for others to follow. I think your sister seems like she was that for you, and we can thank Nayana for that. And you certainly are a pioneer for us and all the women that you're helping around the world. But I'm curious, if you had to pick a pioneer, who would yours be?
I was growing up in my 20s. I became vegan. I think I saw a video of was circulating out there, and I realized, oh my God, I have all this fur and this leather, and how ignorant am I? So I threw everything away. I donated everything for coats for cubs and all of that. I became vegetarian, vegan. And I know Ingrid Newkirk was one of my biggest idols, the president of PETA. And I know this is completely off a topic, but she stands out as someone that to me was amazing. And I had the graces of meeting her. I was very young, and I was so impacted by this woman. And there's so many out there, I'm sure, in different fields. But that's a woman that comes to mind when I think of someone who really got me. And I said, I want to be like that. I want to be a woman that people say, oh my God, she did this to help so many people.
Really incredible. And you're doing that, Smita. I think there is a level of uncomfortableness that we have, especially I would say in like American culture around death and talking about sickness and cancer. So you whisper it when you hear someone's diagnosed. And yet when you hear the truly personal stories, it does touch your heart, and you do come alive and you are more invested. And to your point of even the executives at the insurance companies, when there's the moment where someone I know has had breast cancer, then you're able to move them and move the car, as you said, to move that forward. So what a perfect pioneer to really inspire the work that you're currently doing today.
Yeah. And I really do think that breast health is something that should be comfortable, exciting, fun, sexy even, because why else would we go for something that's not any of those? From the time we wake up in the morning to the time we sit down and work, we don't, first of all, we want comfort everywhere. We're warm in our beds. If we do get up, we want a warm potty to sit on. We don't want anything cold. We want warm coffee. We want everything comfortable. We sit in our car. You're comfortable. Okay, now we're driving. It's uncomfortable. We want to fix it. So why is it that when we go to get our mammos, it's uncomfortable? And we even go. So now I know there are clinics popping up that are creating this environment, like a nice loungy environment for hair. My vision, honestly, is to see that for breast health, to be able to have some sort of a breast lounge where we can just go with a cup of coffee, sit there, wait, even get a hand massage, and we check something off our list that is so vital and so crucial that we many times just ignore. So why not? So I feel like that definitely is my vision, and collaborating with companies like that would be one of my biggest goals while working for UE LifeSciences.
Yeah, incorporating that wellness component to it too, right? It's very holistic.
Yeah, especially for women. Like, we are the caretakers of everyone in our lives. So to have the space, to your point, to check off more than one thing. Also, we love to multitask. So the opportunity to do multiple things and know that we're providing for those we love by making sure we'll be here to continue to provide and support them.
Exactly. And I feel like once that happens, once that things are comfortable with breast care, you can have breast care birthday parties, breast care bridal showers, or you can call it whatever you want. You can make it booby birthdays, or there's so much that can be done for us that it's very exciting, actually.
I think I'm moving forward with booby birthdays from now on. I think that's the only way I'm celebrating my birthday.
Wonderful.
I mean, it's a theme that really builds itself. Might as well.
Exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, I could talk about this forever.
Yeah.
I would just probably end with saying that we want to change the entire landscape of the way breast health is looked at. And we want it to be exciting. We want it to be fun. And exactly what I mentioned just 5 minutes ago, we want women to come back again to get tested. Because what you find exciting, usually you'll repeat. What you find comfortable, you'll repeat. So our goal is to make breast exams comfortable, accurate, obviously, and exciting for the woman, so that word of mouth, oh my God, I just had a breast exam and it was so nice. It was like a massage. Can you believe it? Women talk. We talk. So why not talk about this? What's relevant to our lives and health?
Very well said. Very well said.
Love it. Awesome. Smita, thank you so much. Really, truly just a pleasure to be in your company, hear your story and the impact that you're having.
This has been just the highlight of my year, I think. I have to say.
So far, that's so amazing. What a delight.
Because you touched upon a lot of topics, specifically that afterlife piece, which many people don't realize. And I want to get that out there because a large part of why I'm sitting here today is that.
Yep. Yeah. There's such comfort in it.
Yeah. And because you're paying attention.
Yeah. There's just such comfort in it. I've never, in the now almost 3 years that I've lost my mom, I've never felt like she's gone. And I love that. I love feeling like she's like right here hanging out. It makes it more accepting, I think.
And keep going. I feel like that must get out there. Need to know the value of what they're missing when they think, oh my God, that person's gone.
You found the right lady.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're in the right crew here.
All right. So I'm super excited, ladies, with everything.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Yeah. As we wrap up this episode of the Pioneer Podcast, I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Smita Asrani for sharing her inspiring journey and the incredible work she's leading at UE LifeSciences. Smita's passion for making early cancer detection accessible to women everywhere truly embodies the pioneering spirit, choosing the unpaved road to create lasting, real impact. If Smita's story moved you, join us next time as we continue to explore the highs and lows of building movements that matter. Until then, keep embracing the journey, and bringing out the best in yourself and others.